I would have never left San Diego if my mom hadn't said, if you come home, I will pay for any expenses you have in college not covered by the GI Bill.
Yeah, you can't.
So,
You can't. You got to come home.
well, that's hard to beat, And I was living in I was living in a two-bedroom apartment with five dudes in Sunset Beach, California.
Well, now
That was hard to beat.
where's Sunset Beach in
Sun,
reference to? Because I had a good friend of mine that was in the Marine Corps out in San Diego, and I
yeah,
would go visit him,
uh-huh.
and he lived in Imperial Beach.
Yeah, it's basically about 20 minutes up the coast, so it's on the other side of Camp Pendleton.
Right.
So he lived on the north side of Camp Pendleton. I lived on the south side of Camp Pendleton. Not far from where all the bars are and everything. And we used to walk right down the street with our surfboards and then surf all day. It was fabulous.
The thing
That was as good as life could be without my wife in it. I've told her that was as good as, because our ship was in dry dock, and so we only had to work half a day.
and
And
then you
they
surf the
paid
rest
us.
of the time.
Yeah, and they paid us. Usually, if you're an enlisted man and you don't have a family, you're expected to stay on the boat. But because our boat was inhabitable, they gave us money to live off base,
Oh,
and we all pooled our money. And again, this place was a little. I mean, it was a whole, and you can imagine what it looked
it was
like.
like a spring break hotel room. 18 guys in a
It was
hotel room for two.
There was five of us, but there was always something going on. We were old. I was 21, so
Oh,
I
yeah.
was old enough to have a good time. We'd go. I didn't go down there much, but you could go to Tijuana, you could go up to L.A. Oh, life was so good. We would leave on Thursday or Friday, and didn't have any duty or anything, and so we didn't have to come back until Monday morning. We had no responsibility, which is incredibly rare in the Navy. And so we would drive. We could go to Vegas, right? Because Vegas isn't that far. We could go to San
Right.
Francisco, and we did every weekend. We seemed to go somewhere.
Well,
It was a really really good 9 months.
I
And then,
did learn.
I got out.
I did learn from visiting my friend in Imperial Beach, my buddy Woodrow, who, by the way, was the best man in my first wedding.
There you go.
When I go visit Woody in Imperial Beach, the only place he liked ever better than Imperial Beach was Busan, South Korea. But that's a whole different story.
Oh, Busan, talking about cold. I've been to Busan several times. So cold. I almost died in Busan.
Okay,
Icicle fell and
almost killed
almost
you.
killed me.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he loved Imperial Beach, but I did learn a valuable lesson while in Imperial Beach, and it's that you drive to the border, but you walk across
Yeah.
into Tijuana. You do not drive into Tijuana.
Correct.
You park
No,
your
no,
car
no,
at the
no.
border and you walk
No.
across.
No, no. First of all, there's no place to park in Tijuana. At least back then when I was there in the early 90s.
I was there in the early 90s.
No
That's when I was
place.
there, 92, 93.
Yeah. Yeah, I got out of the Navy in '92, so I was in San Diego in '92, and yeah, I had a car. I bought a car while I was in San Diego. I was the king. Oh God!
Had to pay that California ad valorem tax, did you? Good for you.
No, I didn't. I bought that car in Florida,
Oh,
and
good.
my
Good.
parents drove it over for me.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So yesterday, you and I were talking. We've talked about it a couple days, but it is the agreement between the Seminole Indian Nation and the state of Florida that in the first 3 years of the agreement will pay the state of Florida $2.5 billion if it passed through the legislature. Passed in a landslide. I think it was 89-13 in the Senate, something along those lines in the House as well, with one caveat. But it's not as bad as you think. I had I talked to a source of mine in the Capitol yesterday that said when they struck the online gaming out of the, where you couldn't use your phone to do it, I go, well, there goes sports betting and online gaming. My source said, no. Online gaming, slot machines, that type of online gaming. not going to be allowed on your telephone. On sports betting will be allowed on your telephone.
Really?
Yes.
That's all we really care about.
But,
I think slot machines are stupid.
But
yeah.
the Speaker of the House said, you know, we're not here. We're not judges. We're not juries. We don't even have to know if this is legal or not. We'll leave that to the court system.
That's correct.
So the court system this is going to face right away an Amendment 3 challenge, because Amendment 3 says that any new gaming in the state of Florida must be approved by the voters in a vote. Although I don't know that Amendment 3 applies here, because you're talking about a sovereign nation and reservation land. The land that the casinos sit on for the Seminole Indian Nation aren't Florida. That's fact. They're the Seminole Indian Nation. They're not the state of Florida.
But here's where it's important. If it passes that, then it can be anywhere in the state of Florida, not just in the Seminole tribe.
Well, no, but the servers, the way the agreement is with the Seminole tribes, the servers have to be on the casino grounds.
Oh, yeah, is that how they wrote it?
It cannot, yeah. So this is not sports betting for everybody. This is sports betting only for the Seminole Indian casinos and the servers. Even though you could use your phone and the app to access it, all the servers have to be on sovereign Indian land.
That's one in a row for you, Tom. That's some good information there.
So, we'll have some people. I've reached out to Representative Stan McLean and Representative Joe Harding to see if I could get them on to tell us about this special session, because that's all they went back for, was this special session to decide this gaming pact between the Seminole Indian Nation and the state of Florida. Now it's going to go to court. It's destined to go to court. By the way, none of this was going to happen before October 15th anyway. So you're going to miss the first 6 weeks of football anyway. There's no hurry to get this done. Because they want to make sure they get it right. They want to make sure they get it right. They want to make sure they stay with this. And I asked my source yesterday, I know that the two representatives from Ocala are both Republicans, and, you know, gambling is one of those issues that, the Republicans aren't really the biggest gaming people in the world. And I asked my source what he thought was the reasons behind this. Even though it was gaming and the Republicans really don't like gaming, what was the reasoning or the advantage that this got pushed through so easy? And he said, Tom, $2.5 billion over the next 3 years. And then we can then the state legislature, the state of Florida and the Seminole Indian Nation can renegotiate. But it's hard to balk at $2.5 billion over the next 3 years. And I know somebody goes, well, Tom, all the Seminole Indian Nations are buying their way into illegal gaming against the Third Amendment of the Constitution. Yes, they are. And Galen is Galen's a Native American descent, and he will concur with what I'm about to say, folks. We stole this country. The immigrants that came over on boats from Spain, England, Norway, stole this country for a couple cases of booze, some trinkets, and some army blankets. And hey, hold on. There's more.
By the way, I don't think that's true.
There's more. And now the Indians are taking their land back one casino at a time.
That part is true.
We had bad treaties that tricked the uneducated, or they weren't uneducated, they were just uneducated in Western English ways. And we tricked them out of a lot of this country, Galen. That's a fact.
That's not true. Well, I mean, we used devices that they were unfamiliar with.
Right.
But when it really comes down to it, it was a culture war. And that European culture won. I mean,
we said it was the United States said it was our manifest destiny to control from the East Coast to the West Coast.
We were already done by then. If you're going to start blaming it all on arguably one of the most racist human beings that's ever walked the earth, that's different.
Wait, who are you talking about?
For the president, his name just went right out of
Andrew Jackson?
Yes, Andrew. Sorry,
Andrew
Jackson.
He was quite possibly. for you to
He
say
hated anybody but white people.
he
I mean, he
may have
hated
been
anybody who wasn't an American
he
white.
may have been the most racist person ever in the history of the world.
Mhm. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But so if you look at up until then, right? And he didn't come into power until the 1800s, but we lost the war of culture, really going all the way back to the 1600s, and by the 1700s, our impact on this country and on the land was very, very minuscule. I mean, it just was. I mean, it felt like very few, like my natives, my tribe language is completely gone. There's still packs of it. There's still an essence of a tribe, but we've been so mixed up with our culture and our race that we just look a little darker than everybody else. That's about it.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. I'll give you another time in kind of recent history where we used the Native Americans. And, I got issues with that, but I understand why we did it. I'll talk about that next. 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Are you or your loved one being released from a hospital and wondering how you'll manage? Inform your physician that you want to go to Palm Garden of Ocala at 2700 Southwest 34th Street for your rehabilitation. Palm Garden provides pain management, post-discharge follow-up, diabetic care, psychosocial support, and so much more. Plus, they even offer outpatient rehab. This award-winning care facility has a team of licensed professionals dedicated to enhancing your independence. Call 352-854-6262 today.
Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion brings together business and community partners, economic development leaders, and educational providers to connect employers with qualified skilled talent and job seekers with employment and career development opportunities. Tune in the first Wednesday of each month at 9:30 to Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion, and learn how they can help you.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
Now you did it. Are you completely insane? He's back. He, who must not be named. The man, the myth. The only guy in Ocala to eat his own weight in fried pickles. Twice. Now, you asked for it. Sorta. Live and in person. It's Tom Schmitz.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks with Tom Schmitz. Got Galen Enoff for about another 10 minutes as we have interviews at 8:35 and 8:50. Galen, there was a time in recent history, when I say recent history, I mean in the last 100 years, where America really, really went and asked a group of Native Americans to do something that they were proud to do. They were more than happy to do it and accomplished, by the way, saving a bunch of lives and all, and that was during World War II, we had broke the Japanese code, we had broke the German code, and the German and Japanese couldn't break our code no matter how hard they tried. But that's because we used 44 Navajo Indians that only those 44 knew the language they were speaking, and they were able to communicate and get orders and all across the world through their native languages, and they were able to stop the Germans and Japanese from ever deciphering what was going on. And it was a huge, huge advantage for the Americans and the Allies in World War II. And the Navajo Indian Nation was very proud to do so.
Yeah, it's called Wind Talkers. There's a movie about it. Nicolas Cage is in it. It's a good movie. And again, I think that to me, that's when America is at its best, right? You come out with innovation, and we were able to tap into, a segment of our population that really wanted to help. I mean, if you've ever been to some of these if you've ever been to any Indian,
Well, Galen's in that area.
it's rough, man. Oh,
It's a
sorry.
third. Look, some of these
Never-
reservations, you're right. I've played a lot of poker on some of these Indian reservations as I toured the country playing poker because the tournaments were there. And you get, 3 blocks up. I'll give you a prime example. Immokalee, Florida. Okay, Seminole Indian Nation Casino in Immokalee, Florida. Immokalee is also a very, very agricultural area. You get 3 blocks away from that casino in Immokalee, you're in a third world country. There's not a whole lot of difference between Immokalee, Florida, and some of the places I've seen in Jamaica and Costa Rica, the third world areas that you see there. There's not a whole lot of difference, and it's right here in the United States.
No, yeah, that's pretty terrible. Mocklee's pretty bad, but when you go into the reservations in Oklahoma,
They're
or
not
Arizona,
good. They're not good.
There's nothing. You can't even grow anything there. I mean, it's just dead. It's absolutely nothing but dried up lake beds for miles and miles and miles. Mocklee's pretty bad.
It's
But
bad.
at least you can grow stuff there. There's a lot of sugar cane there.
It's bad.
We played. They have a basketball team, an AAU basketball team, and they are incredibly athletic, and they're like always one of the top 5 8th grade basketball teams in the country. By the time they get to like 10th grade, they don't get any taller, and so then you can start to dominate them. But up until about 8th grade, they're going to pretty much handle.
Pahokie's right around there too, isn't it?
Absolutely. Pahokie's a little further, what is that, southwest?
Right, but it's still right there, right near there. The home of, by the way, Mel Tillis, and the home of possibly one of the best hotbeds of football in all of America.
Oh, no doubt about that. Well, it's because it's their only way out for
Yes.
a lot of these kids. So, it's not just, they're academically, they're never challenged. They don't have anybody around them who's ever, if you go to college, you don't ever go back to Pahokee.
No.
There's no option there, so you don't really see that. It's one of the that's part of that vicious cycle. When I'm coaching kids, I always tell them we got to break the cycle. We got to break the cycle, and that's part of that vicious cycle.
Yeah, it is. And Pahokee, it's Anquan Bolden's from Pahokee. Deontay
Sure.
Thompson's from
Yeah.
Pahokee. Fred Taylor's from, who
Sure.
else? Ricky
Sure.
Jackson, Alfonso Smith.
There's tons of,
I'm looking at this. It's the who's who. It's the who's
absolutely.
who. Riedel Anthony, Bill Bentley,
Yeah.
Eric Moore, Janoris Jenkins. I mean, it's just the who's who of football in the state of Florida coming out of. And Pahokee, by the way, it's a 1A school, and it's small, SM all.
It's true, and they're good. They're always
They're
good.
really
They always
good.
have 6 or 7 athletes who are just can do anything you want them to do. And they, their line is incredibly small. Their quarterback will just run around and make plays, but once in a while they get a really, really, like when Fred Taylor was there.
Yeah.
They gave Fred Taylor the ball 40 or 50 times a game,
And he
what
just
happened.
blew him up. He just chugged on out. And here's the thing. I was in Pahokee probably 2 years ago, and I stopped by to see the football practice and everything. It was 2018, so 3 years ago. I went down there. I was in Immokalee, went over to Pahokee. A friend of mine was the defensive line coach at the time there. So I go over there. They still coach football the way I was coached. It's a different animal. It's a different animal down there. It's not the feel good. Let's not hurt juniors' feelings. Let's make sure everybody's coddled, and that's not how they coach down there.
No,
They still coach
heck no.
football. They still coach football the way football was designed to be coached. Now, mind you, they're
Well,
still
those
with the see what you hit and everything. They're not talking about illegal football or anything. But there's some adults in kids' faces. There's some adults making men. They're not making children who become men and still have childish features, LeBron James. They're actually making men.
No, you're absolutely right, and it's a different culture down there. It just is. It's a different world.
It's certain, and it's right here in the state of Florida. People don't believe that so many different things can happen in one state like this. There's that part of Southwest Florida is a completely different, except for Naples. Naples and Sanibel Island and all is a little different once you get to the coast. But central Southwest Florida, it's a different animal down there, brother.
You're absolutely correct on that, my man.
Remember, that's where the Seminole and the Muskogee, Indians, Miccosukee Indians, the Seminole and Miccosukee said, we're not doing that Trail of Tears thing. And they went to Southwest and Southeast Florida down in the swamps and everything and said, you want us to go? You come get us. And the U.S. cavalry was like, the U.S. military was like, nah, we're good. Y'all can, we're not coming in there to get you. So that's how they were.
Oh, well, the same thing. Yeah, the same thing happened. That's how my tribe survived.
Yes.
That's why we just went into the swamps and like if you want some, come get it.
Exactly. This is our land. If you want it, we know how to. But by the way, one of the biggest contributions that the Native American population of this country ever did for us was it helped us win the Revolutionary War. And I'll tell you how. We got about a minute and a half. Tell you how. In the French and Indian War, they taught George Washington, they taught Benedict Arnold, they taught all the American generals, all the American majors that became generals and majors of the Revolutionary Army. They taught them about, warfare where you hid behind trees. You didn't march in a column and just gentlemanly fight. You hid behind trees. You hid behind walls. You had the element of surprise. And they learned that in the French and Indian War and used that to the demise of the British regulars in the Revolutionary War. And, Francis Marion, the Swamp Fox, there's a reason he was called that. And that's one of the contributions the Native American tribes made to the history of this country is without teaching George Washington and people like that fought in the French and Indian War the ways of Indian war, I don't believe we'd have been able to beat the British regulars just column to column, gunfire to gunfire.
Well, and I think Washington knew that, and I think he knew that from his time with fighting the Indians, that guerrilla warfare was the only option they had. But, the Indians themselves had already lost the cultural war, right?
Already.
There were, if you look at the history of my tribe, our last names are all English last names,
yeah.
like Lockyer and Robinson. Those are all from England.
Galen, we'll have to continue this conversation later because I need to know where the Bloodmobile is.
Hey, Bloodmobile today, we're at the Walmart right there in the shore, so come by and see us and get the Life Donate Blood. And there's always a right on the boulevard, lifesouth.org. Check us out.
Galen, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, be good. Bye, all.
Galen, brought to you by from Life South, brought to you by Penn Flooring and Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation. We'll be right back. WOCA, the source.
Broadcasting from the Ocala International Airport, this is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
USA Radio News with Lance Pride.
Over-reporting of COVID-19 cases by government officials has surfaced again. This time, the overinflated number of California children hospitalized with the coronavirus was over-reported by 40%.